thank you at first, and then I said, you know, I'm amazed at the number of people you can serve, and you never seem to be in a hurry, and you're so pleasant. I just wanted to tell you how much I'm enjoying the meal. Well, she just beamed all over, and she said, thank you very much. Then came dessert time. It was a chocolate sundae. Really what it was a scoop of ice cream with some chocolate syrup poured over it. I do not exaggerate when I say that the scoop of ice cream she brought me was bigger than a baseball. It was all over the little cup, you know, the little bowl they put it in, and the chocolate syrup was running down the sides. The scoop that each of these other two guys got, the two vice presidents, was about the size of a golf ball. It was so obvious that they commented on it and said, well, Zig, it looks like you know this lady. And I said, no, I've never met her before, but I know a great deal about her. They said, oh, what do you know about her? I said, the same thing I know about everybody else. There's some basics, you see. Everybody wants to be right. I can say that without fear of error. But you can't always be right. That's just not in the cards. But everybody also wants to be understood. And so if you understand the individual and work at understanding them, then you're going a long way towards building a winning relationship. The third thing is everybody wants to be appreciated. We can appreciate an individual for what they do. We can appreciate their effort, and everybody wants to be respected. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was recognizing her as a human being. I was being appreciative of what she was doing, and that is important. Yes, that's the way to build winning relationships. But you might be sitting there thinking and say, well, Zig, in a dream world where everybody is nice and everybody is honest and everybody gives their best effort, that's wonderful. But Zig, that's not the kind of world I live in. Suppose my child goofs, or suppose my staff member goofs, and they do not do the job they're capable of doing. Do I look for the good? Do I brag on them for doing a lousy job? Obviously not. If you do, you're condoning mediocrity. You're even encouraging mediocrity. But there's a way to do anything. Now, I am one of those fortunate human beings who had the privilege of being raised by a mother who was an extraordinary, wise human being. She only finished the 5th grade, but she graduated magna cum laude from the University of Life. I so well remember what a tremendous manager she was and how much common sense she had, or as my grandmother would say, how much gumption she had. Now, because of the times and because of the fact that my dad had died when I was 5 years old and there were 6 of us too young to work, my mother had to manage to get all of her children from a very early age busy contributing to the support of the family by the efforts they expended. It was in the heart of the Depression. I will remember I was milking cows before I was 8 years old. Now, I know that from time to time we'll have some city slickers watching this presentation, so let me tell you something about cows. They don't give milk. Now, I don't know what you can do with that information, but, you know, that's not my responsibility. I'm supposed to pass it out. You use it like you see fit. We survived because of 5 milk cows and a big garden. I so vividly remember my first solo assignment in the garden. Now, as a manager, my mother had some givens that always took place. When she gave us an assignment, we knew what she expected. That was our very best. We also knew she was going to inspect to make certain she got what she expected. It's terribly discouraging for a child or for an employee to do a good job and then have nobody even recognize that it is completed, much less that the job was well done. And we knew the third thing about my mother, and that is we knew that she was going to instruct us on how to do it before we did it. So we knew what to expect. We knew she was going to inspect, and we knew that she was going to be instructing us on how to do it. Now, that's especially important for a small child or a new employee or someone in the lower realm of the totem pole. Well, my mother showed me exactly how she wanted me to hold those beans. Then she said to me, son, when you get through, call me and let me look it over. Well, after what seemed like forever, I finally got through, and I said, Mama, I'm through. She was working in another part of the garden. My mother was a little bitty lady. She was only about 5 feet tall, weighed less than 100 pounds. She was a little stooped at that time. She always wore a little cloth sunbonnet to protect her face from that hot Mississippi sun. We could tell from as far away as we could see our mother when she was displeased. She always put her hands behind her back. She always ducked her head. She always cocked it slightly to the right, and she always gave you that little left or right that said, When my mama started that, I said, what's the matter, Mama? She kind of half smiled, and she said, well, son, it looks like you're going to have to lick this calf over. Now, is there anybody in this audience who is so underprivileged that you do not clearly understand that perfectly clear Mississippi colloquialism, lick that calf over? Anybody here doesn't understand it? Don't be embarrassed about being ignorant. There are a lot of folks that don't understand good, plain communication. Well, what that meant simply was, son, you're going to have to do the job again. Well, I knew that. But I was trying to buy time. So I looked at my mama and I said, Mama, I have not been messing with that calf. I have been hoeing these beans. Well, my mama kind of got tickled. She laughed and she said, well, son, let me tell you something. For most boys, the job you did was okay. But you are not most boys. You are my son. And my son can do better than this. What she did was so critically important. You see, she had criticized the performance, but she had praised the performer. Now, the performance needed criticizing, but the performer needed the praise. Now, as a small child, I do not remember being overly excited about the opportunity of doing the job over. But in retrospect, I realized that that was one of the most important lessons I learned in dealing with people and in building winning relationships. You don't build winning relationships always on a soft cushion. You build them on the hard facts of life. But you nevertheless deal gently and understandingly with those people. As we summarize what we've been talking about in building winning relationships, let me sum it up by this way. Number one, don't be a cat kicker. In other words, think it through. What kind of an impact will this have not only on the person I'm dealing with, but will that individual go down the line kicking cats and affect the productivity of everybody else? Number two, be a good finder. Now, that doesn't mean that every day of your life you make the rounds and everybody you see, you say, that's good, that's good, that's good. That is not what I'm talking about. But periodically, without any hint of a schedule, when you catch somebody doing something that's right, be a good finder. Give them that word of encouragement. Number three, you need to criticize the performance and praise